Here it is. Did you see it? That sound, that power, that presence. You look at the screen and something inside you says, wait a second, because this animal isn't just big. This animal is the kind of force that makes you feel the ground tremble when it takes a step. And right now, there's only one question in your mind. How strong is this animal really? The answer will surely surprise you. Because we're talking about the strongest animal in America. But be careful, I'm not saying the biggest, I'm not saying the fastest, I'm saying the strongest. And that difference is far more important than you think. Because strength isn't measured only by size. Strength is measured by the mark an animal leaves on this world, by the transformation it leaves behind wherever it goes, by the weight it carries, both in its body and in its history. And the history of this animal will shake you deeply. Once, millions of acres of this continent trembled with the footsteps of this animal. Herds stretched all the way to the horizon, and their approach could be heard days in advance. Clouds of dust rising from the ground would cover the sky. These herds consisted of around 60 million bison. Living freely across North America, these giants transformed the lands they passed through and contributed to the balance of nature. But this story does not belong only to the past. This animal almost went extinct, from 60 million down to just a few hundred. This was one of the greatest devastations in human history. Yet, there is hope. Thanks to scientists and veterinarians working to protect nature, this species is still alive. So, could they one day return to their former numbers? Today, let's take a look at 10 facts that will change what you know about this remarkable animal. Are you ready? Then let's begin. We start with the 10th fact, and this fact is actually the foundation of everything. If you want to understand this animal, you must first understand its body, because this body is a machine of power, patiently built by nature over millions of years. Fact 10. Pure physical size. The American bison is the largest land animal in North America. Males can reach up to 900 kilograms. Their shoulder height can exceed 2 meters. But these numbers feel abstract, don't they? So think of it this way. For example, my car weighs 1,250 kilograms. That means a bison weighs almost as much as a car. But this car has legs, it has lungs, and when needed, it can run at speeds over 50 kilometers per hour. 900 kilograms, 50 kilometers per hour. Hold these two facts in your mind at the same time, because this combination is the key to truly understanding this animal. Fact 9. Shoulder hump and power core. When you look at this animal's back, you notice it immediately. There's a massive hump on its shoulders. And this hump isn't just for appearance. It contains powerful muscles and supporting bones. This structure allows the bison to carry its head and neck. But more importantly, it gives the bison an incredible mechanical advantage when pushing through snow in winter, applying force to the ground and accelerating. From an engineering perspective, this structure resembles a crane arm. It gathers strength, focuses it, and transfers it exactly where it's needed. Fact 8. Armor like fur against winter. But here's what's truly interesting. This animal's strength isn't just in its muscles, it's also hidden in its coat. The bison's fur structure is so thick and layered that it can retain body heat in temperatures as low as minus 40 degrees. Minus 40 degrees. At that temperature, most living beings cannot survive. But the bison doesn't just survive, it continues its normal life. It eats, moves, and travels with its herd. Its coat provides such effective insulation that when snow falls on it, the snow can remain without melting. Heat doesn't escape from its body, because this coat functions almost like a natural thermos. Fact 7. Snow clearing power on frozen ground. And thanks to that coat, the bison continues to live in places that other animals abandon during winter. But how does it reach the food beneath the ice? The answer to this question once again reveals the power of this animal. The bison uses its powerful head and shoulders to push the snow aside, for hours without tiring. With its ton-heavy body, it almost sweeps the ground, uncovering the grass beneath. This movement is so strong and systematic that the areas the bison passes through become accessible to other animals as well. Deer, wolves, small mammals, they all benefit from these paths opened by the bison. Without even realizing it, the bison sustains an entire ecosystem in the middle of winter. Fact 6. Speed and agility. How agile do you think a 900-kilogram animal can be? Big, heavy, clumsy, that's what you're thinking, right? You're wrong. The bison can run at speeds over 50 kilometers per hour. But it doesn't just run, it can change direction suddenly. It can jump over obstacles. It can turn and maneuver. This level of agility is almost unbelievable for an animal of this size. For comparison, Olympic sprinters can only reach around 45 kilometers per hour. That means this animal is faster than the fastest humans in the world, with 900 kilograms. Just think about that. And we're only halfway through the list. So far, we've talked about its physical structure, its strength, its coat, its speed, its endurance. But the true greatness of the bison goes far beyond these, because this animal is not just a powerful body. This animal is a force that sustains an entire ecosystem on its own. And I'm going to start explaining that part from the fifth fact onward. Get ready. We're moving on to the fifth fact. But wait for a second. So far, you've heard 900 kilograms. You've heard minus 40 degrees. You've heard 50 kilometers per hour. And all of these are physical traits. But now, things are about to change. Because what I'm about to tell you will make this animal not just powerful, but indispensable. And that difference changes everything. Fact 5. The power that shapes the ecosystem. The bison doesn't just live on this continent, it shapes it. The land it passes through changes. The way grasses grow changes. The structure of the soil changes. When thousands of bison move across a plain, they almost bring that land back to life. Their hooves work the soil, they leave behind natural fertilizer, and plants feed on this cycle and grow stronger. Ecologists call this ecosystem engineering. In other words, the bison is a force that actively builds the environment it lives in. Not just by existing, but by moving, breathing, and grazing, it transforms its surroundings. There are very few animals in nature capable of doing this, and the bison ranks at the very top of that list. Fact 4. The power that can even change rivers. But here's what's truly fascinating. The bison's impact isn't limited to the land. Large herds can even alter riverbeds. When tens of thousands of bison pass through the same crossing, they reshape riverbanks. The ground becomes compacted, the water finds new paths, and vegetation reorganizes accordingly. Think about an animal that, simply by existing, simply by migrating, can influence the direction of rivers. And the bison doesn't do this intentionally. It just lives. It just moves. Yet in doing so, it provides numerous benefits to nature and drives transformation. And it's not just the bison that benefits from this transformation. The paths the bison opens, the traces it leaves behind, the areas it passes through, all provide habitats for dozens of different species. Wolves follow the weaker members of the herd. Ravens and vultures feed on what's left behind. Some bird species even land on the bison's back and feed on the insects in its fur. In other words, the bison is not just an animal, it is an ecosystem. On its own, it supports the existence of dozens of species. Without it, the chain loosens and breaks, and we have witnessed that chain breaking ourselves. Now pause for a second. Physical strength, resistance to winter, incredible speed, a shaper of ecosystems, a creature that can even change the course of rivers, and a source of life for dozens of species. This animal is the American bison. Yes, the bison. Maybe you already knew it. You may have felt it from the very beginning of the video. But now that name sounds different, doesn't it? Because now you're not just seeing a large animal, you're seeing the heart of a continent. A force that has sustained, shaped, and nourished these lands for millions of years. And believe me, the heaviest part is yet to come. Fact 2. On the brink of extinction. Once 60 million bison lived on this continent. 60 million. Then humans arrived. Railroads came, guns came, and a deliberate policy of extermination followed. In just a few decades, those 60 million bison were reduced to only a few hundred. The herds that once filled an entire continent and covered the horizon were nearly wiped out. This was one of the fastest and largest mass extinctions in history, and it didn't just affect a single animal species. It deeply impacted the indigenous peoples who lived alongside it, the ecosystems that breathed with it, and the hundreds of species that depended on it. The absence of one animal changed an entire continent. How else can such power be explained? Fact 1. The comeback. And here is the most powerful fact. A species that once dropped to just a few hundred individuals now lives on with more than 30,000. This is not a miracle. This is will. Thanks to conservation programs, national parks, the determination of indigenous communities, and the efforts of scientists, the bison has made a comeback. Not completely, not yet, but it's standing. It's still here, and with each passing year, its numbers continue to grow. The bison is not only physically strong, it is strong in its very existence. It refused to disappear. It carried one of the heaviest burdens in history and remained standing. This kind of strength cannot be measured by any muscle. Right now, you're feeling something. I know that. Because the story of this animal is not just a documentary, it's a lesson in existence. And we're arriving at the final page of that lesson. But first, take a step back. Think about everything we've covered so far. 900 kilograms, 50 kilometers per hour, survival at minus 40 degrees, shaping ecosystems, changing rivers, falling from 60 million to just a few hundred, and then coming back. All of this is a story of a single animal, the existence of a single species. And now, we're about to dive into dimensions of that existence you've never heard before. The voice of the bison and the memory of the land. For Native Americans, the bison was not just an animal, it was life itself. Every part of it was used, from food to shelter, and nothing was wasted. This bond was not only with the bison, but with nature as a whole, a deep, interconnected relationship. When the bison disappeared, it wasn't just a species that was lost. A way of life and a cultural memory were also deeply damaged. The miracle of the comeback. In areas of Yellowstone National Park where bison have returned, nature is coming back to life. Plants grow stronger, animals return, and the balance of water improves. In this process, what scientists call a trophic cascade effect, around 30,000 bison are leading the recovery of the ecosystem. The animal of the future. That's why the bison is not just a part of the past, but also of the future. It plays a crucial role in combating climate change and protecting soil and ecosystems. In truth, this is not something new. It has been doing this in harmony with nature for millions of years. Yes, I know I've repeated it many times, but I have to say it one last time. 900 kilograms, 50 kilometers per hour, minus 40 degrees, from 60 million individuals down to a few hundred, and from there to today. This is not the story of an animal. This is the future of a continent. This is the will of a species. This is the strongest proof of how nature, when given enough time and a chance, can heal itself. The American bison is powerful, but its true strength is not in its muscles. Its true strength lies in its persistence, its ability to continue existing despite everything. And perhaps this is the greatest lesson we can learn, and one of the most powerful examples given to us so that we do not give up on life. See you in the next episode.